Thank you very much, Madam President, honourable members. I really would like to appreciate this important debate, even though it was very dramatic on the first plenary debate after the end of the year break, but I really would like to appreciate the wealth of information and all the aspects you cover in this discussion. As I said at the beginning, but I believe that after this debate, I think we can clearly say that us, as Europeans, we clearly send our support and our solidarity to Australia. As it was highlighted by Madam Šojdrová, it's very important that this message is also spread across Europe, that we are ready to help, especially in the country in such a dramatic distress. At the same time, I think that many of you highlighted the fact that what's happening in Australia is just the consequence of the global climate change, that this is the situation which was caused by us humans and that we need the global effort to take care of it. And I think the intervention by Madame Bentel, Madame Dalli, Monsieur Bijou, been asking and appealing to us and the Commission, but also to our global partners, to make sure that we would do this collectively, that we would have that consistent and strong global effort. We need to make sure that the Paris Agreement is implemented globally by all key powers, as Mr. Heischel said, and to look for the ways how we can make that important transition in Europe socially fair, so we can demonstrate to other parts of the world that this is possible, that you can grow, you can cut CO2 emissions, and you can do it in a socially fair manner. And I think that if we see that the world is not respecting our pace, we just would have also to look for the new mechanisms, as it was suggested by our previous discussions, to make sure that we would push other countries into the direction. If they will be not responding to our efforts, let's consider the mechanisms like carbon adjustment mechanism or other measures to make sure that also other industrialists in other parts than the European one would try to produce cleanly as we do it in the European Union. I think that also this discussion just reminded us of the fact that we also in Europe haven't been spared of the dramas and tragedies brought by the climate change. Let's just look back at some of the dramatic events which have been reminded us to our honourable members, be it tragic fires in Portugal, in Sweden, in Greece, and let's be sure that we would not relent in making sure that our readiness and preparedness is much better every single year which would come. That we need to simply make sure that we would improve the existing wildfire and forest management strategy, that we would complement the fire suppression strategies with increased awareness, preparedness and prevention, and that we would combine these short-term measures with long-term adaptations, which is so important, especially for the forest management. The EU strategy on adaptation, which was adopted already in 2013, was aimed exactly at that, to make sure that we would enhance our preparedness and resilience to the current and future impacts on the climate change, especially by climate proofing of the key vulnerable sectors, such as I mentioned already, the forest. So all this would come under the new umbrella of the new ambitious strategy, which would be the flagship project of this Commission and I believe of this House, and this would be the European Green Deal. Mr. Knotek was referring to the Copernicus programme, and I'm very glad to say that yes, we are the biggest provider of this data, of the imagery, which is very often key for fighting the fires from California to Australia, and we of course are going to develop that further and invest in early warning systems such as European Forest Fire Information System, which are critical for managing the crisis as we are discussing today. We have improved our civil protection capacities, but we know that we need to do more. And I would agree with Madam Miller, with Mr. Kokkalis, that we have to permanently look for the ways how we can make it better, how we can make it more fireproof, and how we would be properly prepared for all the contingencies which might head into our direction in the future. So to conclude, I really would like to say that the best response we could give to this crisis is to be very focused, very determined in introducing European Green Deal, in demonstrating other parts of the world that it's possible to do it. We know how to do it, and we are ready to share our experience. And of course, in all that, we would count on the support of this House, of you, of the European Parliament. Thank you very much, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. And so the debate is closed, and we will move to the next item on our agenda, Commission Statement, Cross-Border Organised Crime and its Impact on Free Movement. I remind you that it's possible to request catch the eye and blue cards